Hey everyone, welcome to Audio Gear World. So today we're going to take a look at a new plugin from Excite Audio. This one is called Bloom Synth Atmosphere. Now, what is Bloom Synth Atmosphere? It is actually the latest addition in the Bloom plugin series, and just like all the other ones, it is basically a sample player, but a sample player with a twist. And obviously in the case of Bloom Synth Atmosphere, it is aimed at producing atmospheric synth sounds. Now, one of the nice things about all the Bloom plugins is that the interface of all of them is almost identical. So if you familiarized yourself with one of them, you basically know all of them. So let's take a look at the interface of Bloom Synth Atmosphere. So this is the main page. Now, as you can see down here, we have a virtual keyboard. We have in total 14 white keys, which all can be assigned a sample and that can be played like this. Right? Now the black keys are split in two. On the left side we can see some modifiers, so the samples can be played half speed, double speed, reversed, down one octave or up one octave. And on the right we see the letters A through E, and with those we can play some patterns, which I will get to in a minute. Now down here to the left we can set the key. At the moment it is set to C major, but we can change it to basically anything we like. We can also go up some octaves or down some octaves. So that's how you set the key. Also we have 4 different effects. Now these effects are going to be different depending on which Bloom plugin we're talking about. In the case of Bloom Synth Atmosphere we have lo-fi, modulation, width and submerge. Now and then you might wonder, so how do you get samples onto the keyboard? Good question. Well, for that we have to go to the sample page. Not even sure if it's called that officially, but let's call it that. So each of these triangles you see over here represents one sample. So we have 8 banks of each 14 samples. That is 112 samples in total. Now how do you get them on the keyboard? Well, we can either drag an entire bank onto the keyboard, overriding everything that was previously there, or we can drag any individual sample to anywhere on the keyboard. Or we can also use this little dice over here to randomize everything. Now, a little while ago, last year I believe, I did a video on another Bloom plugin, Bloom Bass Impulse to be precise, and basically my only piece of criticism about that plugin is that at the time we weren't able to upload our own custom samples into the plugin. Now, Bloom Synth Atmosphere is the first plugin within the series that has opened the door for us to use our own samples. And the good news is that all the other plugins within the series have gotten an update that has implemented that very same feature. So we can now use our own custom samples. So if we go up here to User, you can see that we have another 8 banks, but they're absolutely empty. So what we can do is we can drag any sample we like and place it anywhere on this matrix. It will give you some options you can set, then save, and then you can see over here we have that sample and we can play with it. We can drag it to the keyboard just like we would any other sample. Now to me that is an absolute game changer. So that already is pretty interesting, but in my opinion, the real power of Bloom Synth Atmosphere, or all the other Bloom plugins for that matter, can be found on the Edit page. So as you can see, we have quite a few more options over here. We have 3 different sections. On top we have the sample editor. With this, obviously, we can edit the sample, so we can shorten it, for example. We can play around with attack, release, pan, volume, and some other stuff. On the bottom, we have some global effects that we can play with. We can also change the order, for example. But in my opinion, the most interesting part of this edit page is obviously the sequencer in the middle. Now in the case of Bloom Synth Atmosphere we can also go full screen. And so like this we can very clearly see what's going on. Now first of all, on the left we can see the numbers 1 through 14. So these obviously correspond with the the keys on the keyboards and the samples loaded onto the keys. And then we have a 32-step sequencer, or at least we can have less steps if we want to. By the way, we can also have less steps for individual tracks. So for example, let's say that we only want to have 26 steps for track 10, and let's say 14 steps for track 6. We can do that, so that's very interesting. We can also play around with rate, swing type. We can also set that. We can solo, mute, and then for each individual track we have a randomizer. And then we can start populating the sequencer. So let's do that now. I'm just at random going to activate some samples over here, like this. All right. Okay, that should be enough for now, I guess. Yeah, all right. Now, over here, you can see the letter A. Now, this corresponds with the A on the keyboard. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we have A through E. With these keys, we can play some patterns. So we have 5 patterns in total we can play with. This is pattern A. So let's press the key and see what we've got so far. Interesting. Let's also try the randomizer, for example, on this track, and maybe also on this track. And let's add some more over here, and let's see what we've got now. Yeah, well, could use a little bit more tweaking, but I think you get the idea. By the way, we can also play around with some other things like trigger, probability, velocity, pitch, attack, release, timing, and perform. And as you can imagine, the possibilities are truly endless. Now, before I tell you what I think of Bloom Synth Atmosphere, I went ahead and created just a little demo track using only Bloom plugins. So I used Bloom Drum Machine, Bloom Bass Impulse, Bloom Vocal Edit, and of course also Bloom Synth Atmosphere within just a few minutes, just to illustrate how easy it is to create something, well, let's say potentially interesting. Let's call it that. So let's go. Alright, so what do I think of Bloom Synth Atmosphere? Well, first of all, I have to say that it's not for everyone. So if you are a control freak, for example, and I don't mean that negatively necessarily. By the way, I sometimes am a control freak. So if you want to be involved in every little detail concerning the creation of your music, this might not be your cup of tea. However, if you're looking to create something quickly and easily, it's very, very easy to use, by the way. Something that might inspire you to create something awesome or something to add to an already existing piece of yours, then yeah, I think this is definitely a great tool to have, potentially. Possibilities are absolutely endless, as I mentioned, and especially with the addition of being able to add your own custom samples. Yeah, definitely thumbs up to Excite Audio. So go check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think about it. Right? Now, for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next video.